Welcome to the Late Night Race Review. Well, I guess McLaren are serious about staying on the podium. Russell versus Hamilton, and the gloves are off for Mercedes. Red Bull win the Constructors title, but should they consider maybe running just one car from now on? Don't think it'll make a difference. Alonso's on the radio, Perez practices his parking, and two Alpines finish the race fully intact. It's the Japanese Grand Prix. We wrap it up with a look at our Fantasy League and our predictions game, as always. Don't forget to support the podcast by hitting those like, follow and subscribe buttons. Welcome back to the Late Night Race Review. I am Owen Scott, and with me as always is Dave Jericho and the sumptuous Isidro Gonçalves. You didn't know where I was going with that. With another new haircut, Isidro, is it?
No, still the same.
You just rushed it to the other side just to trick us.
Loving it. I'm loving it. Well, anyway, we're nearly out of our misery, lads, and the season can finally begin. The real thing that everyone is thinking about is that second place in the drivers and the constructors. Dave, they've been consistently dominant and brilliant this year. What have you thought of Red Bull overall?
I mean, look, can't take it away from them. They dominated. They had a great car. They've great driver. And yeah, look, what can you do? Can't take it away from them. It's been well earned.
Isidro, would you like to give Red Bull their kudos?
Yeah, it totally deserved the championship they got today. They only had to thank to Max, really, because Perez really shouldn't be driving an RB19. What he did today, maybe a JCB would suit him well.
The meme of Max Verstappen driving around the track on an office chair was pretty apt, I think, that we sent round during the week. He could win it in anything, really, couldn't he? And on Max today, Isidro, and for most weeks, that matter, he didn't put a foot wrong. And the big question is as always, how will he do in turns 1 and 2? And he completely pulverizes the rest of the grid for the rest of the race, to be honest. But McLaren, Isidro, they put a nice bit of pressure in those first 2 turns, didn't they?
Yeah, they start very well. I mean, they both attacking Max. Was fun to watch. Max trying to prevent Piastri to take him, and Norris gently in the left trying to get the first place, and then Max trying to swerve again. It was fun to watch the McLarens attacking Max straight from the start. It was refreshing, but again didn't last much. Once Max got the handle and they're gone. I mean, finish what 30 something seconds away.
Yeah,
that just says everything. But at least McLaren put up a good fight.
Yeah,
they arrived late to the game because their start wasn't good, but they are strong. And if they were like this in the beginning of the season, I think things would maybe be different, because there would be pressure on Red Bull since the beginning. And while now it's too late, they put up a good show. It's good.
And I said it in the intro, Dave, but it begs the question: could Red Bull actually win both the drivers and the constructors with just Max Verstappen and no other car?
I'm pretty sure they would have this season.
Yeah.
No question. And I'd say if you told Max that that's his job this season, is to win both the drivers and constructors by himself, I think he'd have put in even more effort. So the ones I think he would, I think anything that Perez put up a showing for, I think Verstappen would happily have battled for that as well. So yeah, no question. I think that, look, my opinion on Perez at Red Bull, so I think there's no question there.
Could Red Bull possibly put or take a dent out of their cost cap by just taking a second car out next year and putting all their money into one car, maybe?
Yeah, that would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Oh my God, could you imagine how bad you'd feel if you were Perez? You're so bad, we just decided just to run one car.
Yeah, and speaking of Perez,
to keep Perez on the side, probably.
Yeah. Speaking of Perez, as you say, just more heartache for our underwhelming understudy. But Isidro, I don't think I have any words that can describe how poor he was this weekend. Could you perhaps give me something in Portuguese that describes how bad Perez was?
No, I don't think there's a Portuguese word, but 3 letters. JCB. That's what he should be driving, considering what he did this
Yeah,
weekend.
he
I
was
said
pretty
this
poor.
weekend, but his qualifying was good. He finished P5. That's good enough, considering that usually he gets P12 and needs to try to get the points. But he gets P5, and then he just crashed twice, DNF twice. I mean, it was just an. It doesn't deserve to be on that RB19 as it stands. I mean, it's totally understanding if by the end of this, Red Bull just start thinking maybe you're not the right person for this. They've been very patient with the man, to be fair, and I don't. Is driving like it doesn't need his contract to be renewed, and I don't know. That's not the Perez from the beginning, but it's the Perez that we have, and probably that's the Perez that we're gonna have for the rest of the season. I definitely don't see the man improving.
Dave?
That's I thought that's DNF and then coming back out on track. If we can talk about this, or is that next up in your questioning, or can we hit that now?
Well, I was going to ask just about him careering into the Haas, but yeah, go on.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. We'll just yeah. That was his fault. It was all his fault this weekend. Yeah. But no. But what I wanted to ask was, my understanding was, and this is where I had a bit of a look here, and I couldn't really find anything. My understanding was that when you retire a car, you have to show that there was a reason for your retirement, that there was a mechanical failure about to happen, there was a safety issue, there was some genuine reason that you retired the car. Now, given that Perez had more fucking accidents today than I have fucking fingers to count them on, I think that was a very good reason that he has a DNF. So they would have been able to show that he has a DNF. Now, then they put him back out on the track so that they didn't get the grid penalty for Qatar. But surely that means that if you've retired the car, it means that you have to show that the car wasn't safe to continue. Yeah. And then in which case, then how did it certainly become safe enough to continue to put it back out for a single lap, just to relieve you of your penalty for Qatar? That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just like, that is still the rule though, isn't it? Like, I mean, I don't know whether anyone knows, but I'm pretty sure that is the rule. That if you retire a car, like if your car is driving around, sometimes you see cars driving around, there's been no accident, and they say, oh, we see something on the telemetry box, we're going to retire the car. 9 times out of 10, it's like, we're doing nothing. Let's just save our engine because we don't want to take a hit on an engine. But they still have to show their telemetry, or they still have to show their data to show that there was an issue with the car, and that's why they retired. You can't just retire your car randomly when you feel like it. You have to prove that there's a reason for it. So in this case, Red Bull proved that there was a reason for it because he fucking crashed. So the car, they reckon that the car wasn't safe to continue, so they'll be able to showcase that. But then put him back out again. So how is the car safe to go back out again? Surely if you were the F1, you'd be now just kind of looking at it, kind of going, hang on a second. It wasn't safe to continue. You come in, then you realize, oh, wait, we've got a 5-second penalty to serve. So now it's okay to go back out and do another lap and serve your 5-second penalty. I don't know. I think there was I think that's a big loophole that needs to be addressed, because I thought that was absolute bollocks, to be honest. Like,
I don't think the car needs to be unsafe to drive. They could see that the repair takes so long that it's better to retire the car than wait for 3-4 laps to be fixed.
Yeah, but they didn't do any work. They didn't fix the car. Like, I mean, they put a new nose cone on it and stuff like that. But I mean, they did that on the first nose cone they gave him. So they didn't do anything different. So, I mean, there's only so much repairing that they can do on the car. I mean, if the floor is damaged and all that type of stuff, like, they can't change that. So there's only so much. There's only the only components that they're able to change is what they would normally do in a pit stop anyway, changing the rear wing, the front wing, any sort of adjustments and stuff like that, the occasional time, the steering wheel, that type of stuff. So any damage that he incurred that required a retirement, that was bad enough that it couldn't be done on a pit stop, that they had to put it in the garage. That says to me then that the car is not capable of continuing on. Otherwise, they would have been able to fix the car on the pit lane. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think there was some. I think there was a loophole in that regular, that ruling that
So
that.
here's what the rules. Here's what the rules say. It says the main article of the Formula One sporting regulations concerning Red Bull was Article 54.3, which covers all penalties that stewards can impose if they're involved in an incident on track. So Section D of this regulation dictates if any of the 4 penalties above are imposed upon a driver, and that driver is unable to serve the penalty due to retirement from the sprint session or the race, the stewards may impose a grid penalty on the driver for his next race. Whilst this is available to the stewards as an option, it's important to note that they are not obliged to carry over penalties. Red Bull were merely covering themselves in case this did happen in post-race. So the loophole is there to be exploited, but they're pretty sure that they'll close it up by the time the next race comes around.
It's not, but like that's mental that was able to be exploited like that. Like, I mean, how do they not fucking see these things? Like, it's absolutely mental that they're writing these regulations and they're just so easily exploited on the fly. I mean, it's not like this happens week in, week out, where the team at Red Bull kind of go, do you know what? If this happens, keep this in your noggin that you're going to need to know this for when it comes back. No one did. They were able to pull this out of their hat literally on the spur of the moment to realize, hang on a second, we've retired the car. We got a 5-second penalty. Can we throw him back out? But surely, even if they did put him back out on track, they have to be able to prove that the car was safe to go back on track. And if it was safe to go on track, why was it unsafe enough to not continue? Sorry, Zero, I was ranting.
I'm just saying that as recent as Azerbaijan Grand Prix in 2017, Kimi and Sergio retired, and then they returned after the red flag. So it's not the first time that's
but that's
that
2000, like but I'm kind of talking since the new rule change, or since the new the new regulation changes. I think was even in the old regulations as well. I was pretty sure the retirements they had to prove that the car was unsafe to continue. What was the circumstance? Hang on. We could go in a deep dive here on regulations and historic things. Let's not. We'll bore people to tears. Like,
yeah.
But okay, so there is examples of this happening anyway in the past.
So the loophole is there, and FIA hasn't closed yet. So why?
And
we don't know.
And they didn't close it from 2017. So let's say another 6 years, we may see the loophole closed.
Apparently, Jonathan Wheatley is saying they won't let Red Bull get away with gaming the rules. It was clever. Don't get me wrong, really clever. If I was the team manager, I would definitely say do it. It was great, but the FAI apparently aren't too happy about it. So they could
be unhappy all they want. They're the ones that fucking left it open.
Yeah. So, but it apparently will be closed by the time the next race comes around. But these things, unless there's circumstances that arise, and regularly enough, I don't think it's something that you'd even think of. It was clever of them, though, in fairness.
Oh, no, I love it. Like, don't get me wrong. I love it. But I'm arguing that, it shouldn't have happened, like, and the regulations need to stop it. But I do love to see teams outsmart. That's what it's about. Like, it's, who's the smartest guy in the room? Like, so I do love it. But at the same time, like, I can still bitch and moan about
it. On Perez, Dave, and his collision in particular with Haas, what was his thinking there, or was he thinking, as you say, he is looking to try and extend his stay at Red Bull? Is it laziness on his part? Is it over ambitiousness to try and make that move happen, or what's going through Perez's head at the moment?
He's fallen into a similar rut to like what Daniel Ricciardo fell into. Like, we know Daniel Ricciardo is a fantastic driver, and then he fell into that rut of just poor results, poor form, and just never really regained it. Just sort of bounced from team to team, but never really regained the form that we knew he had. And Perez is kind of, I think, has fallen into a similar scenario, that he's just in a rut. And I think to some degree, Red Bull have stood by him, that they know that there's, like Daniel Ricciardo, they know that there's a great driver there. That's why they signed him. but I think if he's in, it could be dangerous. Like this could be one of those ruts that's it's sort of a career ender. Like that you just. It's not like football where you kind of see a footballer get into a rut and it's sort of easily coached out of them and they come back. For some reason in Formula One, if it doesn't bounce back quick and it continues on, which for Perez, this is sort of nearly half a season's worth of poor performances, if not more. Yeah, this could be it for him. Like this could be the sort of the best they're gonna get out of him. So that what we're seeing kind of happen in I know I went around the fucking bush to try and explain that fucking Haas incident, but I'm just sort of saying that was purely a lack of concentration. Basically lunged in, went in too late, hit the brakes, understeered, went into the side of the Haas. End of story. And it is a rookie move and it's lack of concentration. But again, that's what happens when you're not on form and your mind isn't sharp. And that's what I said. That can be maybe not a career ender, but certainly a career ender with a team, especially a team like Red Bull, who have a host of drivers at their disposal that they could replace him with. So yeah, I don't know. Has there been any news? He hasn't obviously been signed up for a new contract. So I can imagine Helmut Marko will just they'll have to replace him. Like, I mean, there's no way they can just continue with the inconsistencies that's happened this year.
You mentioned Lando Norris, and I'm going to segue before we go down a real rabbit hole there of presuming what drivers are going to be driving for Red Bull next year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd been hurt before by their promises in recent seasons, but it really looks like they're finally back to where they belong. Maybe, am I saying that too soon? Perhaps. But two great drivers and finally a developed car that can compete or even outrace a Ferrari or Mercedes. Dave, what do you think of Lando's pace this weekend overall?
Oh, Lando's a great driver anyway. This weekend was great, but I hate to fucking pop everybody's party balloons, but the Japanese Grand Prix is very much in the same suits the McLaren car in the same way that likes a Silverstone and stuff like that suits them, and those long fast corners. And I think we could see maybe a little. I'm not saying they're going to tank and we're going to see the McLarens outside the top 10 again, but you may not just see them till the end of this season. It's not like we're going to kind of. Well, I certainly wouldn't sit here and say we're going to see the two McLarens fighting for P2 and P3 in every race now from here to the end of the season, because I would be surprised if that's happened. But they're definitely making massive strides, and Lando Norris, they did a great job locking him down to such a long contract, because it's helped them develop the car. It's helped them to have a great driver team relationship to give feedback on that car to help with the development. So, and today it only showed, he was so fast today. Obviously not Max Verstappen, Red Bull fast, but incredible. And as well as that, they've got a great pairing as well with Piastri and Lando. Now he's still obviously definitely going to be the number one driver, but they've got a fantastic pair, and it's definitely one for the future if they can develop it now for next season.
Yeah, as you say, Oscar Piastri really clearly proving why there was so much drama around him last year coming away from Alpine. And now consistently being thereabouts with Lando in his rookie season. What did you think of Oscar Piastri today, Isidro?
I think there's a great future in it. I can see as champion in Oscar Piastri. The drive he did today, his first podium, is well deserved, and he's been doing. I think the fact that he's pairing with Norris in McLaren is helping both him as a driver and the team itself. And today it proved why Piastri was picked by McLaren. And I think they have a good set of drivers there, and they have a very good future.
Yeah, everything seems happy between Piastri and Lando. Yeah, Dave, go on.
No, just saying, I don't think the McLarens were under pressure from anybody today, were they?
No, not really.
They had the battle with Verstappen into turn one. Now we knew that wasn't going to last the duration of the race, but after that, nobody was able to get to stick with them. Like they were in a league of their own, sort of when it came to the race pace. So yeah, it's great. It was great.
As you said, the next in line there was Charles Leclerc, and where he finished fourth, obviously where he started, and finishing roughly about 7 seconds behind the McLarens pace wise. Is there something to be concerned there for Ferrari, or is it just a case of it's race specific, track specific, why they were so far behind McLaren, Dave?
Well, there's definitely a bit of track specific in terms of why McLaren were so strong. Now, like I said, McLaren are making improvements anyway, but definitely there was an extra bit of a few percent on top of that was came from the track that suited them. But for Ferrari though, they've a lot to take away, because Ferrari went through a phase of fucking wildly inconsistent, and not just wildly inconsistent with their car and the drivers, but also the team and their pit stops. The pit stops were appalling. They seem to be finding some sort of consistency. So even if they're sort of finishing up in the sort of the top 5, 6, 7 consistently, but also making strides in terms of the team development, the driver relationships. Once that's kind of, once they have a good relationship with the driver, getting good feedback, like they can develop the car for next year. But it's just about I think that's all it should be for Ferrari this year. It will be about the consistency. I mean, where are we at? Let me just have a quick look here at the constructor standings here in terms of points.
So you got 305 Mercedes in second place, and then Ferrari are 285 in third.
285. So I mean, like, yeah, I'm okay. Let me fucking contradict myself there. Then I suppose I'm saying here that it should be about consistency for them, and it still is. Should be about consistency, but they do. I mean, there is huge prize money difference between that second and third place, which is, I mean, to be fair, well, I don't think Mercedes or Ferrari are gonna, be stuck for a few. It's gonna be pocket change to them.
Yeah.
Fair, like, but there's still prize money to be had there. So Jesus, 305 and 285. I mean, that's close. That's close. But the thing Ferrari, I think, well, both. I know we're going off the beaten track here a little bit, but both teams, their drivers are finding form. Like Ferrari, like Leclerc and. Leclerc was the kind of the driver that all hopes were laid on, but now Sainz is picked up form, so he's a solid driver for Ferrari. So both of them are capable of scoring top points if the car will give it to them. I think probably Ferrari might have the advantage over Mercedes. Mercedes just seem inconsistent from track to track. Some tracks they can be absolutely horrific, like nowhere. Yeah. Whereas Ferrari are kind of, sort of flatlined, if you want to call it that. They're sort of just on a consistent level, whereas Mercedes is a bit more of a roller coaster. So yeah, I know I've gone so far off the beaten track there. I don't even know what the original question was, but yeah, Leclerc did well today.
It is interesting that race for second, as they say, is the one that's important now. The interesting thing is the battle really between Hamilton and Russell. We'll get on to them now in a second, but before we do, Isidro, we'll talk about Carlos Sainz in a somewhat similar race to his teammate. Just outdone by the undercut from Lewis Hamilton. Nothing really major to worry about there for Sainz today. It was solid enough. I think he held his own.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot expect to have Sainz doing what he done in the past 2 races. I mean, today was just a normal day for Ferrari. At least it didn't screw up anything, so that's a plus. And if Red Bull was in a very good day, not much that Ferrari could do. It's just fighting for the points. And because McLaren was so good today, I don't think Ferrari had the chance today to get the podium. Yeah. And Sainz was just it's a solid race. Nothing really much.
Dave, in that, just to go back to your topic. Sorry, go on. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, I did like when Sainz said they're using my strategy against me or something like that, or my trick against me or something like that. I like that.
Yeah,
That was
very
nice.
clever. In that battle between Ferrari and Mercedes, do you think possibly that George Russell might be the weak link in that whole system for Mercedes, in that he is a little bit too ambitious to be the number one driver or to even just to win races, and his immaturity kind of shows from time to time, whereas Ferrari seem to have settled somewhat, as you say, they're flatlining.
Well, George Russell has a massive. This is why I was never a big fan of George Russell. His talent is there,
Mm.
but it was always his ego. He's this ridiculous, an ego that's bigger than his ability at the moment. Like, which is, I don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse. Like, but
Yeah.
like he was constantly asking for the team to make calls throughout the race that would benefit him over Hamilton, which was unnecessary. Like, um, the one thing I do feel a bit sorry for, like that's kind of switch over, when they had it was Russell, Hamilton, and Sainz, and this is where Sainz was making the little fucking remark about them using his trick against them.
Mm.
I think it's easy in hindsight to say whether Mercedes made a good or a bad call, and I think there's arguments for both sides whether they should have swapped the drivers around or shouldn't have. I think they made the wrong call. That like Hamilton was on fresher tires. He had the DRS from George Russell. I think it was probably better. Like, George Russell was obviously going to be the slower car, same way Carlos Sainz was when he used the same trick. But so dropping him behind Hamilton, I know the idea was, well, we'll drop him in behind Hamilton, he'll get the DRS and he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so far off. He was more than that off the pace, and Hamilton didn't play ball. Hamilton fucked off.
Yeah.
And then tried to slow up to give George the DRS. So I'll be honest, I think Mercedes made a mistake there. I think they lost out on a few points where they could have had. I think they could have finished Russell, Hamilton, and kept Sainz behind by using the same tactics that Carlos Sainz did last week, or at the last race. So yeah, I think as much as George has a bit of an ego issue and he kind of was mouthing off a bit, I think in that instance, I think I can understand why he was maybe a bit miffed about getting told to, the team orders to switch the places around, because he did say, let's do it on the last lap. He was, I think he was willing to do that. That basically, let's just, because he knew that he was just going to be a sitting duck. If they switched him over now, he knew he was going to be taken by Carlos Sainz. So he was saying that the way we're at the moment was going to be more beneficial and strategically going to be better to get us to the end in the position that we're in. Then we'll, at the end of on the last lap, we'll switch positions and we'll finish fourth or fifth and sixth. And Mercedes just went, no, that's an order, switch them around, and lo and behold, exactly what he said would happen happened, and he got gobbled up by Carlos Sainz. So
interesting.
So that's probably just boosts his ego even more. He's probably like, why don't these fucking people listen to me?
Yeah. A bigger question, and Isidro, I'll ask you this one. Are we done with George Russell's crocodile tears after most races when he comes out crying? Is it real? Or what's the story?
I hate that,
Yeah, I think we are. Like Dave was saying, Russell is a very good driver, but I think he needs a bit more of experience and I'm not sure if Hamilton has been the mentor that Russell needs to be the driver that Mercedes needs. If we see what we can compare, because Piastri is a rookie, but I think Norris has been teaching a bit more about racing in Piastri than I see Hamilton doing the same for Russell.
Yeah.
But today, the fight between both, if it wasn't Toto Wolff messaging saying, knock it off and just drive, I think they would both be out.
Go on, Dave.
If there was anyone to say, stop it.
But yeah, Zidro's right. Like, I don't think Hamilton's that sort of mentor type. I think he's still thinking, I'm still at the top of my game and I should be racing for world championships. And he's got a driver as a number two whose ego thinks he's already a world champion without being a world champion. Like, so he's thinking he's the best on the grid. And maybe that's an attitude that a driver should have, that you should be hitting that kind of going, that I am the best on the grid. But that doesn't maybe go well to learn from the experience of the driver that's sort of sitting in the seat, in the garage beside you. So I can't imagine. It'd be like being a teacher in school and you just got that asshole student. Like, he needs extra tuition, but he's an absolute dickhead, and you're like, I ain't giving you extra tuition. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got 2 more seasons of this up until Hamilton's contract is now the end of 2025. So they've got to figure this out.
No, I hope we end up with a Hamilton Nico Rosberg situation where that Mercedes becomes competitive. It gets up there with the Red Bulls, and those 2 lads start really fucking going at each other, pushing each other off the track. Like we saw it today. Yeah. We saw Hamilton push Russell off today. Like, Russell was trying to go past him, and Hamilton was Russell was faster at that time. So playing the team game, you should have said, okay, let him pass. You might catch him later on. But Hamilton was like having none of this, just pushed him off the track. Like,
yeah,
love it.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Hamilton and Russell actually even talk to each other outside of the interviews and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, does it? And I'm on your side. I can't stand seeing him crying at the end of, like, what was that when he lamped it on the last lap, like, and he's there, he's crying, and I'm like, come on. Like, come on, like,
get over it. Like, come on. It just doesn't sit right with me. Anyway, Fernando Alonso
threw away a world championship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you threw away second place. Jesus.
Let's get on. Go on.
No, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I just want to get on to Fernando Alonso. Get away from Mercedes. We could go there all evening as well. But yeah, back in the points today, and they gambled on the soft tire at the start, which didn't really pay off. And yet again, some discontent from Alonso over the radio for the second week now in a row. Good result in the end, but is all rosy at Aston Martin, or is Alonso just holding this team to a higher standard than he's receiving at the moment, Isidro?
Well, I think the Alonso finish P8 was not the best, considering that he started P10, didn't really get much. But again, like you're saying, Aston Martin is not in the same shape and form it was in the beginning when everyone was in Alonso hype train. But Alonso knows how to get a car to finish a race in the podium, and I think that's what he's slowly trying to teach Aston Martin team, how to train the car, what to do in the car, what needs to be done, because he knows the car has more potential than they are showing at the moment, because we saw what happened at the beginning. So it's there. I think just Alonso is trying to get Aston Martin to really listen to him and invest and get the car again like it was a few months ago.
Yeah, Dave, give me your thoughts on that question. Just how things are going for Aston Martin this season.
Yeah, I actually thought the Aston Martins would have done better on this track. I expected a little bit more from them. But I mean, I think it was just the car, because I mean, even Stroll, before he disappeared again, he was kind of wasn't putting in much more of an effort than kind of Fernando Alonso was able to do. So I don't know where the development went. I don't know whether they peaked with their development at the start of the season, and they just got nothing else left to eke out of that car. But yeah, there's clearly something not going right for them. And if 8th was the best he was able to get out of a car that was consistently getting on the podium, then they're sort of, I think they should just at this stage then start focusing on next season, because they've got bigger problems to look forward to.
And on Lance Stroll, I mean, he's had pretty bad results all the way back as far as I think the Silverstone. He's had, I think the highest is a P8 for him, but there's been P11, P10. He hasn't finished a race. He didn't finish again today. will Daddy just bail him out again, or is he under the gun at all, or is that even a possibility at Aston Martin?
There's not even a possibility.
Hmm.
Like I know Lance Stroll or not, Lawrence Stroll said that sort of he would treat all his all the drivers equally. Now he didn't obviously specifically mention Lance Stroll, but obviously it was inferring that he was talking about Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough call to make, isn't it? Like, I mean, because it's not like he's having a bad season. He's actually a decent driver. I don't really know. I think maybe he's had a mix of bad luck, accompanied with the car not being great. Maybe as well, you have to remember, like teams with lower budgets can only sort of develop a car in one direction, like in the sense that, like, who was it that was saying that the car was I can't think of the driver. There was some driver, or I think it was this season, they were sort of complaining that the car was more geared towards their teammate and not their style of driving. So as a result, it just didn't suit them, and that's why they were doing so bad. So you could find as well, there's a case for Aston Martin put all their eggs in sort of Fernando Alonso's basket, and as a result, it just doesn't. That car now just no longer doesn't suit Lance Stroll's driving style, and he's finding it very difficult to come to grips with that car. So he may get a stay of execution on those grounds, that they may kind of say, look, we've gone full in on for this car, Fernando Alonso. There was no room for Lance Stroll's kind of input and driving style. Like, he just had to deal with he has to drive an Alonso car, so to speak. And I just, even if that's not the case, I still don't see Lawrence Stroll giving him the boot. Not yet. I mean, how long's left of his contract? Do you have any?
I don't have his contract there, but
okay.
Lawrence Stroll did come out with a comment after the race, and he said that Daddy will make sure that Lance doesn't get his iPhone for at least a week if he doesn't get a good result in the next race. Basically,
no TV or Xbox,
but he will get a contract until 2027.
I mean, it's terrible. I mean, he's crashing in practice, he's crashing in races, he's retired. Like, it's just
the crash in qualifying last week.
that was a bad one. That was an expensive one.
What was that a result of? Was it just that he lost the rear of the car, concentration? What was the story there?
I can't quite remember. That was coming onto the pit straight, wasn't it? I don't remember now. I can't actually recall what the cause of that was, but I mean, I'm gonna put my neck on the line and say it was a driver accident and not a car failure accident.
Yeah. Well, Aston Martin actually there, I'm just looking at the contract. So end of 2024 is where Lance's contract currently sits.
They'll run the contract out then. They'll run the contract out and then just announce a new driver. And and it won't be done under the guise of kind of he was shit, so we booted him. It'll just be done on he served his time with us. He was, thanks for all your service. Here's your golden watch. Get the fuck out the door.
Him and Michael Massey down with the crayons, maybe get them playing together.
Exactly. Your dad will give you a lift to crash.
All right, let's move on. Dave, we had a miracle today. Not an immaculate conception now, but a race that finished with 2 Alpines fully intact and with points. Give me the lowdown on the French team today.
I didn't pay any. Zidro might be the best person to ask about this, because I didn't pay any attention to the Alpines today. I was only after the race I saw that they were complaining about the team orders and stuff like that due to kind of pit stops and stuff. And I was like, wow, I missed all that. I was just, I think I was focused. I was focused on the McLarens, the George Russell and the Mercedes, and obviously Carlos Sainz. And I was also focused on Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda. They were kind of my main focal points for the race. So the Alpines just went under the radar for me. Not a clue. Sorry for anyone who's listening who's an Alpine fan and they want to hear someone's take on the Alpines race. I have no idea what they did today.
Yeah, Zinedine Zidane is pissed at you right now. Isidro, Alpine, any comments?
Gasly was the one complaining at the radio about the situation in the pit stop. But overall, I think they were lucky that they didn't got at the crash at the beginning that make Bottas, both Williams, retire. So I think that they escaped quite intact on that first lap. And after that, it was just fine-ish enough. I think Ocon was lucky because he got, second, I think it was Perez that he got a touch with Ocon. And Perez today was just on point to just take everyone out of the race. But
And
other than that, the Alpine just went transparent, like they were saying.
And Isidro, do you know why they were calling team orders? I just briefly saw something about pit stops and they needed to change positions back and stuff like that. But have you any idea why there was a team orders given? Because, I mean, they were only fighting for what, 9th and 10th or something, was it?
Fighting for the points. I don't remember. I have anything on my notes.
Yeah, like, I mean, they were only going for 9th and 10th, and they're relatively close. I mean, there's only like what 6 points or 7 points or something like that between them in the driver standings. Like, and I mean, they're down in, I don't know, like, I'm not even sure where they are. They're down in like 13th or 12th or something like that in the driver stand. Like, there's not exactly anything mega to play for. So yeah, I was wondering what the team orders were.
Gasly is always angry for some reason.
Yeah. Although weren't they supposed to? When those two joined, when Gasly joined Alpine, wasn't there a big fucking hullabaloo made about the fact that they were sort of arch rivals from karting days and their family feuds and all this kind of stuff? So there you go.
Load of crap. I'd imagine they just had a tip once when they were racing or something, and Sky F1 just went nuts on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, as you say, nothing really to play. There was a lot of hope at the start of the season. Zidane came out. It was the big thing in the preseason. And looking at the standings, yeah, you've got Gasly in 11th and Esteban Ocon in 12th. Has this all French experiment been a failure for Alpine?
El Plan has failed.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
weren't they supposed to be winning? What was it? After 100 races, they were going to be winning.
Yeah.
How many races in are they now? But they got to be getting close.
It's not happening.
No.
Any honorable mentions, Dave? You mentioned Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda there. Give me the rundown on what they were up to.
Yeah, Liam Lawson. I mean, there's plenty of other drivers there that were doing better and stuff like that. But the only reason I'd given another honorable mention to Liam Lawson was because he finished ahead of Tsunoda again. And he did that without knowing that he has no contract now next year, that they've decided to retain Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo for next year, even though it's clear Liam Lawson, to me, it's clear that Liam Lawson is actually a better driver than Yuki Tsunoda. But they've decided to stick with him. So yeah, no, I was watching that. I was hoping that there was a bit of a bit bigger gap, that he would have eked out a bigger gap now. But because I think at the first pit stops, I thought he got done out a little bit in the first pit stops, Lawson. But he managed to kind of recover and I just think he's a driver that he has something about him. I think that deserves an F1 drive. I think.
Sergio?
I think the way Perez was driving today was the way that Lawson would probably drive, knowing that he has no contract, so just crashing cars out of the lap and just.
You would imagine it would be the opposite, wouldn't you? Like,
yeah.
Oh, I don't have a contract. Well, fuck this. I'm just crashing the car.
Yeah, I'm gonna bin this one.
quick conspiracy possibly for you. Is it possible that Liam Lawson isn't getting a drive for AlphaTauri because it's possible that they're eyeing him up for the Red Bull seat?
No,
not a hope.
Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
No, there's no way Red Bull will put a rookie in that number 2 seat. Not a chance. That is way too much of a risk for them to take. Like,
is it though, considering Max is just winning everything for them?
But I mean, like, you do that, like, I mean, so you put Liam Lawson in, and he's fast, right? Let's just say he's quick, he's consistent in qualifying, and he always starts on the front row alongside Max. Now you've got a young, ambitious rookie who wants to earn his stripes up against Max Verstappen. I mean, what are the how many? Like, are you going to roll the dice and expect that they're not going to wipe each other out going into turn 1? So they're never going to put themselves in that position. They'll get someone who's experienced, who comes in as he knows he's a number 2 like Checo, and he knows what game he's there to play. Like, you know, you're a supporting cast.
Is it possible then that this scenario that they currently have at the moment is possibly the perfect scenario for Red Bull?
Well, it would have been if Checo actually finished somewhere higher than DNFs, like, you know. No, at the moment it's actually it's a bit embarrassing for the, you know, that's, you know, it's embarrassing for Checo to see just the decline, like, from where he was at, even at Force India. Like, you know, he was a better driver at Force India, and the first season, Max Verstappen's first World Championship, like, he had such a huge part to play in that. Like, yeah, I think he's just tanked. Do you know what happened? I think the start of the season, we thought that, do you remember there was talk that Checo could be a challenger for the world title? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And once that sort of conversation hit the mainstream Formula One news, he just went off the cliff. It was like there was pressure. He saw that because something twigged in his head. The realization came in that, okay, maybe I am in for a shout here, and he just absolutely swan dived. So, yeah, no, I'd say that's not what Red Bull want right now. But they also don't want a Liam Lawson either, I'd say.
Interesting. We shall keep an eye on that. David, do you want to get on to the driver of the day?
Okay, well, the official driver, actually, Zero, you're the one that gives us the percentages. Who's the official driver of the day today?
Oscar Piastri, 28.2, followed by Lando Norris, 15.8, and Max Verstappen, 14.4. And then we have Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton.
Ooh. So my driver of the day, I don't have anything written down, going off the seat of my pants. I am going to give it to... I'm going to give it to Lando Norris. Solid. Proved why he's the number 1 driver. Was quicker. He was quick. Yeah, Lando Norris.
Yeah, no complaints there. I'm Lando as well. I'm just delighted to see him up there and finally achieving something after a horrible experience that he had last season and coming into the start of this season. So yeah, I'm going for Lando for that reason alone.
Zero, who's your driver of the day?
Same as you, Lando Norris.
Yeah. Look at us agreeing this week.
Yeah, Team
Yeah,
Lando. Lando fanboys.
Now this is where it could go pear-shaped. Our loser of the day.
I don't think it's gonna go.
So many.
Oh, I have 2.
Right,
I mean, I suppose the clear and obvious one is Perez. That's the clear and obvious loser of the day. But I'm going to give it to George Russell.
Ooh.
Because he tried something with his plan B by going longer on his first stint, then coming in for the tires later than everyone else, hoping to get to the end of the race. And it just didn't work. You could just see he was dropping off, getting swallowed up, ended up getting taken by Sainz. And I just think, had he played that slightly differently, he could have been up there at the back of Lando, or at the back of Oscar Piastri. Yeah, so he gave something a go, and it didn't work in the slightest. So on those grounds, I'm giving them the loser of the day, because I think he lost the most in that one.
You're really careful. You're going to make him cry again. I am going to give it to Checo, because he's just an absolute lemon. Very, very sad to see how he was driving. For a driver with that ability to be driving that way in that car. Yeah, no, loser of the day for me.
Yeah, that's easy. I could have easily have gone with Perez as well, but who are you going with, Zero?
Does it need to be a driver?
Oh,
I know it can be a team.
I'll go with James Vowles. He lost so much today in just one lap.
True. Yeah, that's definitely a good. Yeah, that's a good one as well. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
All right. Well, let's. we're in the privileged position here that we've got the Formula One fantasy points are in because we had an early race today, which is unheard of. And everyone will be delighted to know I am now down into third place. We have Russell My Feather at number 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So my wife has also slipped a few places down to 7th. Isidro, you just seem to be dominating that 18th place. You haven't left there all season, it seems. And Scotty, you have dropped to 22nd.
Nice. I don't even think I have the app anymore, to be honest.
Don't give me. Don't, oh yeah. I won't be paying attention to that. All right. Well, let's get on to more important stuff. Our fantasy, or not our fantasy game. Sake, our prediction game.
Predictions. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to this at all.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. I'm just seeing them here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the top 3. So I went with Verstappen. Yep. Sainz. Nope. Hamilton. Nope. And Scotty, we are all well aware you copied my homework, so that was also a yes, no for you.
Yeah, 1 point.
And
Verstappen, Sainz, and Perez.
Oh, so goose eggs, a lot of goose eggs there. So we all neck and neck. Now, the flop.
Here we go.
I have a feeling we may have another hour to add to our podcast here. So I went with a Perez DNF for crash reasons for 2 points. Surely he retired for crash reasons, and I should get those 2 points.
No.
Okay, if you can tell me the other reason that Perez retired his car today.
It was to get rid of a 5-second penalty.
That was the second time.
He didn't crash. He returned to the pit.
Yeah, I feel that you have to, if you say DNF crash, he has to crash and finish with that crash. He can't get back to the pits and retire the car. It has to be a crash.
But it's a crash. That's the reason he got DNF. I have here clearly a DNF. If I look at the list, DNF. Why did he get a DNF? Because he damaged his car from a epoxy crash.
Yeah, we'll give you the point for the DNF, but the crash, I feel the crash has to end his race at the point of crash.
Just roll on casually to the pits and just put the car back like nothing happened.
Shocking. Shocking. I feel like it's like mainstream media ganging up on the far right.
You knew what was coming. You knew it was coming, and that's why you caveated before you said it.
I was ready for this. I knew I was going to get absolutely fucking slayed. Do I at least get 1 point for this?
Yes.
What?
No.
Well, for the DNF, yeah, but you don't get 2 points for the crash.
I don't get 2 points. Yeah, okay, I'll take the 1 point. Give me something.
Oh yeah, no, it was a DNF, but yeah, you don't get those 2 points.
Okay.
Off you trot. Okay, my one was Gasly DNF. That could have happened easily.
It could have happened, but it did not.
No.
Oh,
I was so far.
See, Joe.
Jesus.
Outside top 10.
Yeah, outside top 10.
What a bad week to pick that.
Yeah. Oh, my surprise.
It's about to get worse.
Oh, yeah. Alonso, top 10. Boom.
Yeah. You're taking it this week, Dave, I think.
Who did you have as your surprise, Scotty?
I said Albon inside the top 10, and that also did not happen. I think I'm a bad luck charm for Alex Albon.
But to be fair, you were doing well when you just absolutely fucking winged it. You were just phoning in your fucking predictions, and you were actually winning.
I got,
all right.
Ocon P7.
I mean, you weren't far off. Like,
yeah. Close. I had to check that one.
Now I'm.
We have a new leader.
I need 2 seconds now because I have done absolutely no homework for my predictions. I've been too busy moving all the furniture out of my house.
What's our leaderboard like, Dave, at the moment?
Sorry.
Dave is a new leader.
Okay, so, right. I obviously won this week, so let's go up and tally it up. So that gives me 9 points. Joined with a Isidro at the top of the table, and at the bottom of the table is Scotty.
Well, that means I move up to second, actually.
Yeah, you're last.
Technically.
You're last. Yeah, it's all right. You can
No,
be
I'm taking
second
the
if you
win. I'm
want,
taking the
but
win.
you're
I'm
last.
taking the win.
Gee, you're 3 points off now, Scotty, and there's only how many races left this season? Is there 6? Is there?
Yeah, I've given up on that.
Oh yeah,
Delete
same
the
way you
app
gave
as
it up on
well.
the fantasy as well.
Uh,
All right, well, Qatar. Okay, I'm gonna have to go with Verstappen P1. I mean, that's like not having Haaland in your fancy football. Oh, now after this, it gets interesting. Let me see here. Let me have a quick look at the old circuit. Yeah, I should have prepared something for this. Do you know what?
If it helps, I think Haas is bringing upgrades.
Oh,
Qatar.
right. Well, then that might be my P3. I'll go with Hulkenberg. Do you know, I'm going to say that the McLarens are going to be strong again on this track. So I am going to go. Do you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go with this week's results again. I'm gonna go Norris and Piastri. No, I'm not gonna go with Piastri. Piastri's gonna do something fucking. I'm gonna go Norris and Sainz. Yeah, I'll go Sainz. All right.
okay. I'm going to go massive air. And if this comes off, will you give me 2 points? So I'm going to say.
Wait, if the all 3 come off, you get, or just the number 1?
Even just this number 1.
All right, go.
I'm going to say Lando Norris P1. I'm going to say Max Verstappen P2.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay. That's why I said you'll give me 2 points. And Oscar Piastri P3.
Okay,
I'm going huge.
I tell you what, I am
Get the
happy
3.
to say that if that top 3 comes off, I'll give you that week win without
Automatically.
That's
Perfect.
a win.
Let's do
I
it.
mean, that's up to Isidro to fucking.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I would have said, yeah, I'd have given you the double points for a Norris P1
Without saying Verstappen P2.
But when you went for Verstappen P2,
Yeah.
Because I was expecting Verstappen to be your flop, that there was a DNF there somehow.
No, that's not happening.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's big air. Like,
Can I tell you my reason? I think Verstappen is going to win the sprint race, and he's going to win the championship during that sprint race. And on the next day, he's just going to check out completely, and he's going to let Lando buy him and give him the win.
Loves records.
Yeah,
he wants to smash every fucking record that F1 has. He's going to race like this fucking world championship still on the line right into the last race. Like,
I hope you're right.
But all right, well that's you know, but yeah, I'll concede the win. I'd nearly concede the whole season if that comes off. All right, Isidro, who's your top 3?
Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton.
Ooh,
Hamilton. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Hamilton popped into my head there, but I was kind of thinking he might. I just don't know. That Mercedes is just so fucking inconsistent. All right, my flop, flippity flop. I'm going with Piastri DNF.
ooh.
That's why I was going to put him in 3rd, and then just as I was going to put him in 3rd, I was like, I just have a sinking feeling he's going to do something silly.
Okay, I'm going to go again for Big Air, and I'm going to say double DNF for Alpine. I think they're going to take each other out.
I mean, wouldn't be a surprise if it happens.
Yeah, but I mean, the chances are slim
There's no
enough.
2 points for that. Like, it's not that big of an error.
And they both came inside the points. Did they? Oh, they did, yeah. This
They
week,
did,
so
yeah.
technically it's allowed.
All right, Isidro, who are you going with for your flop?
Hulkenberg, DNF.
Hulkenberg DNF is your flop.
He came 14th,
I mean,
which is second last,
Yeah,
considering that there's.
and those upgrades will just not be what they are expecting.
I don't know.
No, I don't know about that now.
I mean, I'd give it to you if you tell me if you call either a mechanical DNF or a crash
Mechanical.
DNF.
Mechanical.
Will we give it for that one?
I don't know. The flop has to be technically someone who is inside the top 10, dropping outside of the top 10, right? It can't be
Kinda
someone who
does.
finished second last in the
Yeah,
race. I mean,
for
that's
any
pretty
reason.
expected.
Or unless he came, maybe like, if you went with a double DNF
Hmm.
on a Haas or something like that, maybe like, or not necessarily Haas, but if you have to go with bigger air than
Not
just someone.
necessarily has. That's funny.
But
Both
you know what I mean?
us,
You
DNF.
can go with
Oh,
someone
he's going
outside.
for it. No, he's going for it, Dave.
What are you going with?
Both us. They're both getting the upgrade, so
Okay.
We talked him
Okay.
into it. Beautiful.
All right.
We're such
Haas.
bullies.
Double DNF. All right. Surprise. Oh, do I dare?
Go on.
Perez, top 10 finish.
You dick. Yeah.
No, that, do you know what? I'm not going to be a dick because that shouldn't be allowed. Like
No.
that.
Well,
I'm going to go.
I don't know at the moment.
I'm going to go. My surprise will be. Ooh, fuck. What is my surprise? I'm going to go with something with Perez, though. I'm going to go Perez.
you can say top 10, but you need to put the position.
No, I'm not going top 10. I'm going Perez outside top 10.
Oh, as your surprise?
Yeah, I like surely. I know he didn't finish he DNF today. He finished outside top 10, but I mean it's a Red Bull. I know it's against the rules, but and we've just absolutely fucking reamed Zedro.
We're just fucking throwing the rule book out the window now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we really are.
No, I don't look. I don't. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
to
can I
see
come
Perez.
back in and serve my 5-second penalty?
No, I don't think we can give you that. I don't
All
think
right,
so.
so I will go. Fuck me. I am gonna go. Can you come back to me?
Can if you want.
Yeah, come back to me. Let me put some thought into it.
Okay.
Scotty, who are you going with?
I'm going to go Guan Yu Zhou top 10. Do I have to call
Cool.
a position?
No, I'll give
No.
you the top 10 on that one.
Okay, cool.
It'll be as surprised as you.
Yeah, yeah.
And so would Alfa Romeo.
All right, Zedro, who are you going with?
I'm not sure if it's allowed. Albon top 10.
Well,
Yeah.
DNF, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
Albon.
Whenever we say it, it never happens. So
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you know, the only time it happens is and I'm not going to do it. I could call, if I said Albon P8, he
Yeah.
would finish in the top 10
Yeah,
but
be
not
P-
finish P8.
yeah, it'd be P7 or
Yeah, all I
P9.
would do would be to tip the scales of luck in Zedro's favor. All right, so sorry, I still need a surprise. I'm gonna go with. Fuck, there's not much. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with Lawson top 10.
It's
Yeah.
Lawson still in Qatar.
They reckon he's going to be there next week. So I tell you what, I'll go Lawson top 10. But if for some reason he's not going to be at Qatar, I'll happily substitute that for Ricardo top 10.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see Ricardo doing much either, to be honest.
I'll probably do as much as fucking Joe will.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah.
All right, and let me just fucking put Lawson and Ricardo. So, all right, guys. Well, that's us for this week. And according to our waffle there, it's 2 weeks. We will be back for the Qatar race review. So until then,